like, are you okay? Like, you don't sound like it's incredible. Like, it is. I'm just releasing. They're like, what? I got fired. Long story behind it is like, Mom, you're paying money, and it's like torture. I had a whole business plan at 19, how I was gonna set up this whole like compound to help women, and like, my sister was a hairdresser, my mother was in furniture, and I was in women's retail. And
hey everyone, welcome to today's episode of Social Commerce Give It Up. Today we have mindset coach and business strategist Kim Kasparian. She's also known as the Success Genie. Hey Kim. So I've personally had the opportunity to know Kim very well as a friend and a cherished mentor, and she is amazing. So I'm so excited for you to be here today. Thank you so much, Kim.
Thank you for welcoming me. Nice to be here with you.
So with social commerce, every guest answers 14 questions. Some of them are fun, some of them are serious, and all of them are about getting to know you more.
Okay.
So I'm so excited to share with everyone else what I already know about you.
And
amazing person you are.
Awesome.
So, are you ready to get started and answer question one?
All right, go for it.
Okay, well, despite the introduction, I'm going to ask this anyway. What are you doing professionally and why?
What am I doing for professionally and why? This June will have been my 22nd year as a coach. So that's what I've been doing for the past 22 years. Success Genie LLC, the company that we created in 2006, is about 14 years old, if I can do the math, or 15 years old. Why did I do it? I was called to do this, but how it happened, like why I decided to do it when I did, is I got fired from a job for doing my job.
Oh no.
Basically my job was sales and building territories, and part of building territories is building relationship and trust, and putting the client's needs first. Well, we had a change of management in our company, and they were like, just get the deal, just do whatever you got to do. Even though I saw them try to do it and it didn't work very well, but so basically was doing things my way, and the new management didn't agree with that. And there was a whole bunch of us who did it the way I was doing it, because we lived in the community where management lived 2 states over. So and basically needed to drive an hour and a half. Yeah, drive an hour and a half to what I thought was a sales meeting, just to be told I was no longer needed.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was kind of like, really? So on the way home, I was more angry than I was upset. So when I'm angry, I cry. Called my 3 mentors and said the most incredible thing just happened to me. And they're like, are you okay? Like, you don't sound like it's incredible. I'm like, it is. I'm just releasing. They're like, what? I got fired. And this is a good thing. And I'm like, yes, because I'm starting my company, I'm going to start a company, and I'll call you tomorrow, or I'll call you next weekend. Because I was 2 weeks before our dance troupe Lincoln Center, New York performance, which I was like dancing after work, like traveling to New Jersey and dancing for 4 hours. And so everything worked out the way it was supposed to. I took my 2 weeks severance pay, went to live with my dance director in New York, didn't have to make the, hour and a half commute, and just lived my life, enjoyed that culmination of a 3.5 year journey. And then right afterwards, recovered to, the week to recover, started this business. So
had it been on your mind for a while, or did it just come to you in that moment, or what happened? And then getting tired that you decided.
Yeah, well, I had my own business almost like all my life. And like at 20, I was in Mary Kay Cosmetics, team manager. I was always in my own business. A car accident gave me a year's vacation. And when I was ready to go back to work, I wasn't ready to go back to doing that. So I took a job, and I had a really great job for 3.5 years. And it was just, I loved the boss. That's why I had to leave. So I ended up putting my resume out, getting my resume done. And the guy who did my resume said, I have a job for you, which was the job I spent 7 months at. So I always thought I'd go back, but I needed to be where I was, right? To build, I was still in physical therapy. 3.5 years after. And the power of a steady paycheck, I learned the value of, which,
Yes.
to me, I was wearing the letter L, like so embarrassed that I couldn't do my own company. But it turned out the W-2 is what got me my first home, is what got me my new car. And even if I was making money self-employed, it wouldn't have worked that way.
Right.
And the job that I took, which was like corporate sales, which I do at 19, why I wasn't going to do that, but I made the connections that I needed to do this. So I was feeling like hesitant to just drop everything and make a change. But since I was booted out like a baby eagle, I just felt like, I had a belief that security was a paycheck, but I didn't get to decide to give up that paycheck. That paycheck was taken from me. Really no fault of my own, except you just decided you wanted me to do it differently. And I chose integrity over my, what you wanted, which I'm fine with. But I realized what I knew, but I wasn't ready to embrace again. For me, financial security is owning my paycheck. And I went back to my Mary Kay business. I started that. Mary Kay was gonna be my day job. Well, I started this business, but this business grew so fast, I didn't need Mary Kay as my day job. It was just my fun job.
Oh, wow.
But I remember saying, like, I was mad. I was like, but sometimes you need to be mad to light a fire. And I was like, you know what? I'm going back to Mary Kay, because Mary Kay never fired me. Even though I, got sick and came back and whatever. So it was just like in a moment, you just make a decision.
Yes.
And, like, you lost your job. What are you going to do? You got to create an income. And I just decided in that moment, Nancy, I just decided I'm never going back to work for someone else again. I'll work with people. I'll work, alongside of you, but I will never again work inside, because I just got tired. It wasn't the first time, it was just the last time that people invited me to work for them for the results that I get.
Right.
And wouldn't let me, or tried to change the recipe.
Yes.
And wondered why the results weren't happening.
Right.
I got tired of explaining, like, you want the magic, leave the magic alone, and I just was, it honestly, I look back and go, God, I was crazy. It just was easier to do it my way and help a lot more people.
It sounded like you were put in the perfect place at the perfect time. And I agree with you. Sometimes you need to be a little bit angry to have the fire to really be resilient.
Yeah.
Enough is enough.
Believe me, there was a lot of fear and like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? But it just was like a thing of like, no, you will figure this out, because no.
I love that. That's an amazing story. It's so inspiring. Okay, so what would you never want to do as a profession?
Never want to do as a profession? Probably telemarketing.
That would be super hard.
Yeah.
I know. I try to be nice to telemarketers for exactly that reason.
Yeah, I mean, I've dialed for dollars, but unless I really believed in something, like, yeah, I can't just get up I just wouldn't want to do that job.
Totally get that. Totally agree. Okay. Do you like being around real books at libraries, bookstores, that type of thing?
Yeah, yes. I was a yes. When before, when I was recovering from a severe depression due to an event, I literally would go to the library on Saturdays and go out and take out like 20 books and just like read the whole, cause I wasn't doing much of anything else, but I was like, and that's how I got over my depression. I read books, self-help books on beliefs. I wanted everything. Everything I could get on how to change my brain, how to change my thoughts. Yes. So I love the library. I would just go into like whatever. And actually even, just being around books, love books.
Yeah, I love the digital access we have right now, but there's something
Yes.
magical about being able to turn the pages.
Yeah, I went kicking and screaming with my Kindle years ago, and thank God, because I read so fast and I read so many, like 1,000 books in there. But I still have my children's books, like Doctor's, a collection of all the children's books.
Yes.
Yeah, It's like
I love
Tupperware.
QuickBooks.
I'll
That's
buy
my
you, I'll
favorite
buy you
thing.
your own. Yeah, it's like to Oprah with Tupperware. I'll buy you your own, but don't touch my books. Like I'll buy you your book, but don't touch my book.
I get that. Yes, we got a family collection with the kids of about maybe like 10 books from when they're babies and they're not leaving. So
Yeah.
yeah, totally hear you. Okay, so the next question is, well, I think this is going to be an interesting one to hear your answer to.
Okay.
What is the most daring thing that you've ever done? Sounds like there's been a couple.
Oh, daring?
Yes.
Okay. I guess starting my business with no money, right, is probably daring.
Yes,
Yeah, okay. Daring.
definitely.
I would think daring or daring. When you say daring, like, do you mean brave or like bold or?
I guess both. Like personally, what do you feel is the most like I can't believe I did that and I still did it thing in your head?
Um, well, for me, daring would be at 21 leaving my family home and saying, listen, I can't do it your way. I need help and I need to go where people can help me my way, not try to do it your way. And that was a big deal because Armenian kids don't leave and Armenian kids don't say that their parents can't help them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And, like that was after the event, the traumatic event. And I knew I was spiraling into a
Mhm.
depression. And they were convinced, like, if I just go to therapy, it would be okay.
Mhm.
And it was just too big and too messy. And they wanted, to me to pretend I was really okay when I really wasn't. And they
Yeah,
couldn't, I did not feel I could be who I really was experiencing and play the role that they needed me to play. It just was two different experiences.
exactly. Huge
Uh,
dichotomy.
yeah. And it just, anytime I would show anytime the mask would drop, it would just freak everyone else out and it become about them. And I just knew I wasn't in a place to be helped the way I needed to be helped.
Mhm.
And I really like had to buck my grandmother, and my mother was like not understanding, but she kind of trusted me to know. And I don't know about you, but like in Armenian families, Greek families, Italian families, if they don't agree that that with you, you don't have it. So if I say like I'm losing my mind, no, we don't have breakdowns. Like that was like, no, it's not. That's not what it is. We don't have that. So
Yeah, my family was not of a traditional culture, but they were very traditional small town farm folk and kind of my mom's opinion set the precedence for kind of how the thinking went in the house. So I can relate to that. It's
so
kind of
it,
like, "Oh, what are you talking about?"
yeah, like it's not that. It's that I'm like, no, it's really this. So I made the decision and made sure my mother was really clear on the consequences of not helping me with that
Mhm.
decision to get the help that I really needed. And afterwards, they realized I made the right choice. Like, oh, thank God she advocated for herself because she really needed what she needed. Um, but the daring thing was to buck Grandma Boss and my
Wow.
mother, who were like the right, the God, and the left and the right hand of God at the time.
God is so courageous and so self-aware to actually be able to have the confidence and know that's actually what you needed because there must have been, I don't know, for me, if that were me at that age, I would have been like, am I
Yeah,
crazy? Am I going to like lose it
yeah,
all?
you know what? I didn't even see it as confidence because I wasn't. I just knew that I had to do it.
Mhm.
My sister's the one who gave me permission because I didn't even know like such places existed. I just knew I couldn't do the work living there. So my
Uh-huh.
sister's the one who gave me permit because I would have just drowned quietly because like, okay, they're not gonna let me have it. Um, my sister was the one to say to me, you don't have to do the work here. There's places that you can go. I'm like, well, what are those places? And she said, I'm like, really? And so I found out about them and brought it up. And that like was like, what? So and then two, it was actually my best friend at the time, my two best friends, they lived in Massachusetts, and I just said, I said, I need to do this. And they're like, go, well, and go do it. I'm like, is it okay? They go, it's okay, because you need to be okay. And we need you to
Mhm.
be okay. So yeah, so thanks to my sister and my two besties at the time, so yeah. So I don't think I was confident. I was just like we talked about earlier, how you just know.
Yes.
You
Yes,
don't know what's on the other side, but you
Yeah.
know you have to go.
that's an amazing answer.
Okay.
So how did you actually, I know from knowing you that you're still pretty close knit with your family.
Yes.
How did you circle back without like breaking that?
Um, the breaking the enmeshment was beyond painful. I don't know how my mother and I like actually lived through that, but it's so funny. If you've ever seen My Greek Fat Wedding, right? Right, the character Tula, she's wanting to break away, right? And she meets her husband who's not Greek, and she wants to embrace culture outside of her Greekness, and they're all having a fit. But when they see that this is her choice, they all learn like in the so basically when I was where I went to get help, they had like family events, or like they invited the family, because I was in my early 20s, but they figured out the source of my depression and whatever was going on stemmed from my childhood. So instead of putting me in an adult unit, they put me in a teenage. They felt I would better relate and be able to do the work I needed to do. So when you're 16 or under 18, right, family goes to therapy. I didn't, I'm 20 something years, 21 years old, but they all did, they all just showed up one day. They're like,
Oh, wow.
yeah. And they're like, it was kind of, I said like, well, what do we need to do? And because the whole treatment was about me being able to go start my life. They knew I couldn't go back.
Right.
And helping me figure out what that looks like. And they're like, we're going with her. She can't come home. We go with her. What do we need to do? So, so they, yeah, they're like, we understand she needs to go. Okay, we go. So so we did a lot of family therapy and learning that, you know what, she needs to create her own identity, but that doesn't mean she can't be a part, and helping us all balance that. Yeah, it was funny. They just were like, my biggest fear was leaving them behind, because like they wouldn't, my father's like him, you got to find your place. Like if this is not working for you and the way we are, and you know, when you're kids, you try to change your family so you can be okay. Like the Armenian way is like, we all need to be the same thing. And when we're not all the same, who's gonna, like, which one are we gonna be? I said no to that. I said, well, if that's all it is, you can't be me and I can't be you. I choose me, which in the Armenian culture is like, right? And I did the unthinkable. So in my mind, I'm going to be out into the world, like never to be spoken to again. That was like, you know, and it felt that way because I wasn't ever going back. And then they just showed up and like, okay, like, what do we do? Yeah. So my mother and I became really close, and, you know, we were like best friends, and the last 2 years of her life, I was her person. And we just like, it was an amazing full circle. It was like,
That's an incredible story and breaking of cycles and all that stuff. Wow. That is so awesome. And that's something I didn't actually know about you. So thanks for sharing that.
All right, there you go. It gives you all hope, guys. You know, you got more issues and tissues, more drama than a soap opera. You got this.
No biggie. Okay, so what is something that you wish you had said yes to?
First thing that comes to my mind is, well, I did say yes, but I waited too late. When I was in high school, the only college I wanted to go to was Boston University. It's the only test I took. I drove my mother crazy twice. High school, I would only take one test. And she's like, what if you don't get into that high school? What am I gonna do with you? I'm like, don't worry, I'm getting in. And when I applied to college, I was like, I'm going to BU. She's like, okay, but what's your backup school? I'm like, no, you don't understand. I'm going to BU. And I got in. But we had moved schools, like part of this whole journey up was changing. We didn't want, my sister and I didn't want to go to Catholic school anymore. Long story behind it. It was like, Mom, you're paying money and it's like torture. So we moved to the town over, which had a better public school system. But my family hadn't found a house to buy in time. So 9 months of my senior year, I moved in my senior year to a new school, which was, okay, that's interesting enough. But I stayed with my aunt. My sister and I stayed with my aunt to be able to go to school. Because if you don't live in the town, you can't go to school in the town. So by
Yes.
the time we all got back together, they found a house, we all moved in, we're all connected again. I needed to make the decision, did I want to accept the financial aid? And that was like the deciding factor. Like, I got in, yay, who's paying for this? Well, I had a package available to me, which would have made it more than possible. But because I didn't want to leave them again, like I was so like, I just back with the animals and my parents, I waited too long. So by the time I said yes, the fund for that year was depleted
Oh, no.
and I couldn't go.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's something I wish, because that was my dream from like 13 to 18 to go there. But yeah, so but path less traveled. But yeah, that's something I wish that I had said yes to.
Yes. And your sense of knowing about things is really incredible.
Yeah, knowing and not being able to pull the trigger, that was an intense lesson.
For sure. A double impact, I would say.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next question is, what was a pivotal moment that changed everything for you?
A pivotal moment that changed everything for me. Besides those,
Besides those.
all right. So I would say after overcoming not getting into BU, overcoming depression, overcoming starting a business with no money, I would say the pivotal moment for me would probably be meeting my husband. Yep.
Wow. So can you describe that? How did it happen? How did you guys meet?
We met, I was a speaker at an expo, a business expo. The state of Connecticut has a small business division, and they would do expos, like invite small business owners, because you do set aside programs, right? You want to do business with the state and you want to help business owners. So we used to have these events all around Connecticut. And the Secretary of State's office, I had a really good contact, and they'd always have me be a speaker or be a facilitator of the networking, because I knew that I was really good at that. So Angelus was an expo, had a booth for his business. He was just starting it. And he heard me speak, and the way he says it, like he was listening to a speaker. He was like, I'm going to go get some lunch. And he tried to leave the room and his legs wouldn't work. And he's like, wait a minute, like, what's this? And then he realized that I was coming on, and he's like, okay, I guess I'm sitting down because my legs aren't letting me leave. And then when he heard me, he was like, oh my God, like, she's brilliant. Like, this is what I need. So he ended up hearing me speak, going to have lunch with a friend of mine who he didn't know was a friend of mine. So after my talk, I was meeting up with that friend to have lunch, and he's at the table with my friend having lunch.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, and then he hired me as a coach, and he got his business plan in 2 years done in 9 months. And then he became a friend, and we talked about this offline, how like one day he just kind of confessed that he's the guy for me and I should stop dating everyone else.
And you obviously came to agree to that.
Yeah. He convinced me.
That's amazing. What an incredible story.
Yeah, we have a cool story. Everyone says we need to write a book. But yes, well, that's how the genie met the angel.
Well, you guys are definitely a power couple, that is for sure. So yeah. It was the correct pairing.
Yes, divine. Believe me, I was not looking. You know, yeah, they like tap me on the shoulder. I'm like, what? I'm busy. Like, what? So yeah.
Not being able to walk out of the room is a pretty powerful statement, I would say. It was meant.
Yes, it was. It was, yeah, like, okay, you two get together, discuss.
Okay. So what is something that you thought you were going to love and then you didn't like it at all?
That I thought I would love and didn't like it at all. Ooh, that's a good one. All right, so I'll go back to I thought my mom was a Mary Kay director when I was 12. I dreamed of being a national sales director since I was like 12. Like that was going to be me. That I was going to do that. And like, that's all I was going to do. The car accident that gave me a forced break from that career was devastating on a lot of different levels. Realizing that there was something bigger waiting for me on the other side, that I would love more than that.
Yes.
Like, because I started back in Mary Kay to build this business, right? And you get to a point when you chase 2 business rabbits, you can do that for a while, but then you got to choose, like which horse you're going to ride. To my amazement, I felt happier in this business.
Oh, wow.
And I would have never, if you had told me that, like even a year before, I would have been like, you're crazy.
It's kind of amazing how, I don't know, we're directed. I mean, you've had some harsh directions.
Oh yeah, I'm a stubborn. I wrote an article for a female executive magazine, like why it's okay to be a brat. Like, oh, I'm a brat. I want what I want. I want my cake. I want to eat it too. And no matter what anyone tried to do to bring me into reality, like, Kim, you don't understand the way the world works, or, you know, I'd love to do that, but we can't afford that. I'm like, who says you're paying? Like, I was always like, who says you're paying for it? I'll do it. Like, you know, like everyone, I think it's a journey of adulthood. You know, we all have dreams. We're all magical. We all believe in the magic. And then as we get older, like 18, life hit me in the face so hard, I thought it took my head off. I mean, it's harsh. Like life is harsh. And you start needing to balance like your dreams with reality, especially like being 21 to put a roof over your own head. You start to see how people kind of have to settle in or settle down. And even my journey of like not being able to do what I wanted to do, but doing what I needed to do and getting those jobs, right, to do what I needed to do. I understand how people lose connection to the magic. And I almost did. I'm not, you know, even I am not immune. And I did. I felt like, well, I guess this is what my life's going to be. It's not so bad, like a steady paycheck, you know, but well, maybe this is life. Maybe the minute I said, well, maybe this is it, bam, all my dreams started coming back to me. It's like everything that I thought would never happen, could never happen. And I have really dramatic stories, which we don't have time to go in now. But like the universe just finally said to me, I'm so glad you finally let go. We've had this dream sitting here that's like perfect for you right now, but like, oh my God, you're driving me crazy. I had to let you wait for you to let go. Angelus is one of that. Dancing Lincoln Center after a major accident that cost me my dance career. And so many other things. My mother, like you know, but it really took hard corrections to get me to that point where I could just stop directing God.
Wow. I'm sure it translates into, well, I know it translates into you helping your clients in that there are no excuses. There's not too much you haven't experienced yourself.
I will never ask you to do anything that I wasn't willing to do myself. You know, and I love my brats. They're all like me. Like, oh, I want what I want. I'm like, I know. Hurry up and let go so we can get there.
That is super powerful. Love it. Okay, so are you the first person on the dance floor, speaking of dancing?
Oh, back in the day, absolutely. Yeah, I would be the one to get everyone up and dancing. Yeah, me and my childhood buddy. Yeah, always. Yeah.
I'm not surprised by that. If you could share only one thing about yourself with everybody else, what would it be?
One thing about me.
Yes.
About me. I believe. I believe.
You do. More so than anyone I've ever met. Since a very young age, apparently. So that's phenomenal. I love that. I think if you believe, then anything is possible.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is your favorite word and why? And what is your least favorite word and why?
My favorite word. Oh, that's a good one. My favorite word. I'll do the one that I don't like.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, my favorite. Like I'm thinking, my mind is going to like, what do I say all the time? Can't. My worst, like there is no can't
Mhm.
or try. It's a tie between can't and try.
Yes.
Don't even
Yes.
don't even like don't want to, it's fine. Right. I did that with my niece when she's now 18 now. When she was 2, she's like,
Mhm.
she didn't like vegetables. So she'd be like, I can't like broccoli. I can't. She just heard her head go, I can't like broccoli. I said, you can. I said, there is no can't. There is no can't, Sydney. I said, there's not in the dictionary. You don't like broccoli? Okay. So she'd be like, I don't like, she's like, well, I don't like broccoli. That's fine. You can have some, what else would you like? And then when she goes to her mother, my mother, and says, can we go wherever? She's no, mom, well, she can't. She goes, yes, we can. And auntie says we can do anything. Okay, but so yeah, I don't like the word can't. I guess my favorite word is yes. Right now, my favorite word is yes.
Mm.
Say yes to all of it. That's what I'm practicing right now. Just
Mm.
saying whatever's happening, just say yes. So
I get that.
the
And
word
my
yes.
biggest thing where I really learned to say yes again. It was a big no.
Yeah, like
I
even to
get
the
the power
sucky,
of yes.
yeah, like even to the sucky stuff and like the like, whatever's happening,
Mhm.
my new favorite is yes.
I love
Especially when
that.
I don't, yeah, even when I don't like what's it like, like, okay, like if you put, the only thing I can't really say yes to, but I'd have to, if I'm living in my integrity, is like put liver on my plate. I don't know how well I'm saying
Oh
yes.
my God, I hate liver.
I kind of feel like Cindy, I can't like that.
I would agree with you. I'm vegetarian now, but there's so many childhood meals where I sat there for hours waiting for the liver to disappear.
Yeah, no, I just like that's just,
Ugh.
please don't make me say yes to liver. Please don't make me say yes to liver.
Okay, you're safe with me. Do you fight fair in an argument?
I I think so. I think so. Yeah, I know. I think I'm more than fair. Um, but if you really, and it takes a lot to make me mad. Yeah, I would think I do fight fair. I know how to I know how to fight fair. Yeah. Um, if I'm in a fight and like it's like, and it's like to protect one of you guys or something, or yeah,
Mhm.
I could be dangerous. But in just like fight, like everyday fighting,
Mhm.
yeah, I could be fair. I usually am.
Okay, cool.
Sometimes at a fault, but yeah.
I'd be surprised if you said something otherwise.
Yeah, well, yeah. Sometimes it's not right, sometimes you gotta, but no, yeah, for the most part, yes, I fight fair.
Okay, awesome. Who in history would you either help or stop?
Who in history who I would help? Well, I think I already did. My mentor growing up and all through my 20s and even today, even though she's passed away, is Mary Kay Ash.
Oh, wow.
I had a whole business plan at 19, how I was gonna set up this whole like compound to help women and like, beauty. My sister was a hairdresser, my mother was in furniture, and I was in women's retail, and I put this whole thing together. And like back then, which is it's still a lot of money, but back then I was like, my idea was like 250K. It's like, wow,
Wow.
yeah, I was like, yeah, that's a little bit pricey right now. And then because I wanted to help women, what I wanted to do most was help women, empower women. And that's when I realized that I got drawn to the Mary Kay opportunity. And
Mhm.
I realized Mary Kay herself was already doing that in grand style. And like, my showcase was only like $30. Like I started my business with a loan from the bank, like for 3,000 for my inventory. I was like, I can afford
Mhm.
that. I can afford to make the payment on 3,000. Um, and I help women and I built a team and stuff like that. So I really believed in, I still do believe in Mary Kay's mission to give women an unparalleled career opportunity. And I think I've carried on her message, even in like Success
Mhm.
Genie. I deal
Yeah.
with men too. So I'm like, why don't we do it for the men? Like, because we all, as we all got older in Mary Kay, we're all like helping our husbands or our significant others transition. Like, why should they hate what they do?
Mhm.
So I think I've kept her mission alive in what I do, because now my job is to teach business owners and, professional leaders how to live the life they love right now, you
Wow.
know, without excuses, without limitations.
Mhm.
So I kind of feel like I am carrying on her legacy, just in a way that
Absolutely.
neither of us imagined I would.
No, exactly. It's definitely that. And it's amazing that you knew it from such a very young age.
Yeah, but it's, you know what, you can, like, we were talking offline, Nance, before we got on, knowing and experiencing, two very different things, right? So I knew at a very young age, but it's taken my whole life to experience what
Yes.
I know, right? And to be able to master it and hold the space and enjoy it, right? Too many of us we grow up, we come into this world as human beings, we get caught up in the doing of life to the point where we forget how to be. And it,
Absolutely.
right,
Yes.
we're terrified to let go and be, because like everything we're doing, what'll happen to it? So my job as the success genie, general genie since the pandemic, is to get people into being again, into being,
Yeah.
because the only way we're going to get through this, right? Success is our birthright. How do we do it? Well, you've already done it. You're a great example of what aligning with your being can bring.
Takes a lot of going back for sure. I mean, I just consciously took 2 days with my kids because I felt like I was too caught up in doing stuff and actually not being present in my own life.
There you go. Well, right. If you're like, right, what's your job except to be present? But we make it complicated. When we start thinking we need to do things other than be present, yeah, we have doing-itis. Yep.
Well, that's a powerful message. So I totally see that about you. Amazing. Okay, so this one's a little more fun,
Okay.
I think.
Lighten
Uh,
it up a little. Okay.
Sweet or sour candy, chocolate, or something salty like chips? What's your go-to
I
snack?
want all three. All three. I'm a brat. I want all three.
And you'll probably get them.
Yes, and even together, even better.
All right. Well, I can't argue with you about that. I would have a hard time choosing myself.
Yeah, that's my favorite. I don't know, in Canada, when we, like, some of the theaters here, they have like the candy in the bag that you can go pick what you want and they weigh
Mhm.
it. I
Yes.
I do my chocolate raisinets, my
Ooh.
sweet and sour patch, my Swedish fish,
Hmm.
and my Skittles. And I
Oh,
shake
wow.
and I shake them up. So that's what I
Like a
said. I said
side of
all
popcorn.
three, all three, all three.
That is, I love that. Perfect. Okay, so the last question. What is one fictional place that you wish you could visit?
Fictional place.
Fictional, yes.
Oh, okay. I would say, off the top of my head, and probably there's more, but the one, the Mists of Avalon. If anyone's ever read the book Mists of Avalon, it's like this big.
I
But
have
it's,
not, but I have definitely heard of
that
that.
was that was like eons ago, was a summer read for me, and I love that book. I might even just take it out this summer just to read it again.
Mhm.
It's basically the story of King Arthur, but from the woman's point of view.
Oh,
And they focus more on the Lady of the Lake and Avalon.
okay.
And
Wow.
and they really get into like Morgana and the lady Vivian, who's the sister, but
Mhm.
it's all about the goddess, right? And it does do history, and it talks about how, like, Britain, so it takes everything we learned about King Arthur and the,
Mhm.
creation of Great Britain and all that, like, all, but it was always
Mhm.
taught from the male point of view, right? The masculine energy, and like
Yeah.
and that was like Guinevere was the side note, and like all, but this is about from the women's point of view,
Oh, how
and then
interesting.
all right and all that. So but just Avalon, like how, like, the myths, and how when people stop believing in the goddess, like that whole druid,
Mhm.
that it just became unavailable.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so anything like
Wow.
that, anything like that, Clash of the Titans, like the Greek myths, like living on Mount Olympus,
Mhm.
yeah, totally, that would be totally me.
Wow, that's so profound. Wow.
That's
I'm
where,
gonna check it
yeah,
out.
that's the fictional place that I would be. Either that or Wonka, the Willy Wonka factory.
Oh, back to the chocolate. I like those two. Great answers.
There you go.
Okay, amazing. Well, thank you so much for being part of social
Thank
commerce
you.
today. It's always amazing to connect with you.
Always with you.
Um, so for anyone who would like to reach out, hear more about what you're doing, even I know you're so big, you actually taught me the art of the coffee chat. I was like, coffee chat, what's that? I learned that from you.
If you want to know more about me, there's two places you can go. You can come to our website, which is successgenie.com.
Mhm.
And or if you're a business owner who like wants to like think of my Facebook group as our living room where we all hang out and we talk and we inspire each other and we network, you can come to our free Facebook group, and I have a URL for that. Business owners growing to seven figures.com. It'll take you to the actual Facebook group. I got a Google URL because you won't to say the whole link that way. It was like, oh my God, I won't even remember that. So if you want to come hang out with our business owners in our free business group, it's www.businessownersgrowing, seven figures.com.
Okay, amazing. So we
And
will
Nancy, yeah, Nancy's a member. So if you want to come hang out with Nancy too, she's there. She's out there.
I can attest it totally feels like home. So you want to check it out. So much value and there's so much fun. So we will add that in as a little visual at the end of this. So, all right. Again, thank you so much, Kim. And
Oh, my
amazing.
pleasure.
Talk to you again. Okay. Talk again soon. Bye for now.